What is up, YouTube, and welcome to this Heels Season 1 finale review and breakdown that sure was eventful. Now, I really have enjoyed this show, but I will admit it has been a bit inconsistent, but boy does it have a lot of heart. And it was so cool seeing Crystal take the belt, even if she wasn't actually, technically in the match. We open with the fallout of last week with Jack attacking Gully at Dystopia Wrestling, and Ace and Jack escape Sharpish. And I could be wrong, but I thought that Crystal was with Jack last week going to Florida, but they escape the arena and head home. I like the growth between Jack and Ace as Jack explains how Gully only wanted to hire Ace to ruin the DWL and run it into the ground. There's also a flashback at the start showing how Jack's dad would treat Ace so much better than Jack, which explains a lot of the animosity between the two brothers, but I do think that he genuinely wants what's best for his brother as they arrive home. It's nice to see them get on and finally Ace not being a moody piece of shit for once. But one problem, Stacey knows what Jack did to get the tissues to the crowd earlier in the season that affected Ace. But come on, how did she have no idea? It was so obvious, and I think Ace even pretty much knows, but just wants Jack to actually admit it. I'm not a fan of the storyline and his wife, and I feel like it kind of took away from the wrestling part of the show, which was a real shame because the acting between the two, the married couple here, was really good. It just didn't really fit the rest of the show, and I'm hoping it gets resolved so we can have more actual, wrestling drama, which thankfully we had a lot here in this episode as Crystal is asked to return to the DWL by Wild Bill, but as his valet persona Bunny. I really like Crystal. I think she's one of the most interesting characters in the whole show, apart from, of course, having Diego and Park together. I think that those two just crack me up every time. But Crystal as a whole, I think, is the best character in the show. And at the time, I was so disappointed that she was just reduced to being a valet once again. But she's clearly one of the best in the wrestling company. But now she has to pay her dues once again. And I feel like her story could and should have had more of a focal point. I feel like Ace being the focal point of the show really took up a lot of screen time and a lot of energy from the other characters who admittedly are a bit more interesting than that character. But the show really is about the two brothers wrestling for the legacy of their father. But Ace does try to make amends for being the biggest D-bag in town, which he starts by apologising to the shop worker, and I found it funny. She's like, yeah, nah, I don't accept that. It's some good growth for Ace, and finally we get some growth from him, as his character did seem stuck on autopilot for the whole season, but he's excited to turn face and pushes his mate to come back for the state fair. I think Alexander plays Ace expertly, and I still need to see him in Bad Boys for Life. One odd part was how Bill wanted steroids, so Diego obliges, and I thought at this point that Bill may die in the ring as opposed to shitting his pants CM Punk style as Jack confronts his wife. And yeah, I've said my opinions on that storyline as they all head to the state fair for the match. And I will admit, I did get very invested in them getting very excited for the biggest show in the DWL. I was very, very invested emotionally into this show. I did find it weird that CM Punk was back as the character from a few episodes ago, but only got 2 lines as he's wrestling Ace's mate. It was a bit of a weird one for me there. I did like how Jack and Ace's mum was like, nah, I'm not going, but she watches it on the live stream, and the switching to the rodeo was just really weird, and it did feel a bit pointless. And I found Stacey's sex-obsessed friend incredibly cringe, as was the line asking if Jack is a heel or not, and Stacey's like, I don't know. I just thought that was just absolutely awful, especially when it's a wrestling show. But the main event starts, and I thought Wild Bill's promo in the ring was very, very good. The actor is just so good in his role. I think he really does play that 80s veteran character who's, stuck in the 80s very, very well. And if you're a fan of wrestling, you know all about that. The in-ring stuff looked stunning, but that's because Stephen Amell has wrestled quite a few times, notably at SummerSlam in WWE for All Elite, and I believe he also wrestled in Ring of Honor as well, which explains why it looks so good. I just wish we had more of it throughout the season. The show was uneven, with most of the big moments happening in the last 3 episodes, but I did love the show, and to be honest, I think I might be being hypercritical, but hey, I'm always going to bring you what I honestly think of the show and whatever I am talking about in my videos. I'm not going to really gush over something if I didn't have any other criticisms, so let me know what you think in the comments. Now, Gully was here, and I thought it was smart of him not to run in. Well, he did later, but at first he tried to get the crowd to turn on Ace, knowing Ace would be reckless, which worked. However, he didn't expect Crystal to step up and use her ring smarts for the betterment of the DWL, as she salvaged the match and does a very impressive suplex on Jack, as Bill clotheslines Gully with his shitty pants. I liked this moment and got emotional for her as she climbs the ladder and takes the belt. I did find it weird. I thought she was going to rejoin Ace as she takes off her bunny stuff. And, well, it's just an odd one. And I thought that it'd be good showing Ace that he has to accept being a heel, but he can still be a good guy. But her taking the belt was a weird one, as she wasn't even in the match. Overall, it was a good episode. And to be honest, a really, really, really enjoyable season. I thoroughly enjoyed the performances, which felt so authentic. I just wish it had a bit more wrestling, and, well, it ended in a very, very interesting position. I think that our boy Ace simply not being a face straight away, and the show has really flipped on its head as I look forward and hope that there is a season 2. Overall, very, very good, and I'd love to know what you think down below in the comments. I'm very excited to see where this goes next, and I would love to see more of it, of all these characters. I will now do a bit of housekeeping here, as I will be having my Walking Dead World Beyond video out tomorrow, and then moving forward, Walking Dead World Beyond videos will be on Sundays moving forward until we get Doctor Who, which will be debuting on Halloween, well, October 31st, which will then replace World Beyond, which I think would be ending after that. So that is it for this video. Please drop a like down below. Do subscribe with notifications on, and I will see you soon, and goodbye.